Tonight, opening the floodgates. Army engineers unlock a Mississippi River spillway for the first time in 38 years, hoping to relieve pressure on the river and spare New Orleans. I'm Russ Mitchell. Also tonight, terror arrests. Federal officials charge a South Florida imam and two of his sons with funneling thousands of dollars to the Pakistani Taliban. Riding into history. On the 50th anniversary of the Anniston, Alabama bus burning, civil rights pioneers remember their brush with death. And walking tall, a paralyzed college student fulfills a dream as he receives his diploma thanks to remarkable new technology.
This is the CBS Evening News with Russ Mitchell.
And good evening. For Army engineers hoping to keep ahead of the rising Mississippi, it is the most drastic step yet. This afternoon, they opened the first of the floodgates at the Morganza Spillway, upstream from Baton Rouge and New Orleans, diverting a torrent of floodwater into the nearby Atchafalaya River Basin, potentially flooding thousands of square miles of countryside. Dean Reynolds is in Morganza tonight with the very latest. Dean, good evening.
Good evening, Russ. Officials told us this afternoon that everyone in an area the water will take 24 hours to reach has already departed, and as you can see behind me, with good reason. Only one of the 125 gates on this 4,000-foot-long spillway was opened, a cautious first step to give everyone and everything a chance to flee.
We'll open one bay today, we'll open one or two tomorrow, and then we'll open gates based upon the river conditions as they exist.
The Mississippi is cresting now near Helena, Arkansas, over 250 miles north of the Morganza Spillway. So officials in Louisiana know they are in for a period of acute anxiety as they try to manipulate the third longest river in the world.
This is certainly going to be a marathon and not a sprint as we go through this tremendous amount, huge amount of water as it comes down.
The situation is increasingly urgent.
There's still a tremendous amount of stresses on the system.
Today's spillway maneuver is designed to ease the stress by diverting some of the Mississippi's flow away from the cities with their riverside industries and onto less populated rural areas. The choice of city over country is not unprecedented. It was made last month when the Corps blew up a levee and flooded Missouri farmland to save the city of Cairo, Illinois. In Louisiana now, 3 million acres, 3,000 square miles will be flooded. A tide heading toward the Gulf that is supposed to move well west of Baton Rouge and New Orleans. By tomorrow, the Army Corps predicts the water will be about 25 miles south and a foot or more deep. By Monday, 50 miles. And by Tuesday, the inexorable wave should reach Morgan City, a town of 11,000 where flood preparations have been underway all week. All told, up to 25,000 people in the new flood zone will be affected. Farmer Ted Glazer is one of them.
It's going to be a hit. It's going to be a hit. We're going to change some lifestyle.
What's more, this is Cajun country, a unique slice of Americana with a storied culture to go along with its soybeans and cornfields. Much of it is going under for weeks or even months. Remember, this is what it looked like before. And this is what it looks like now. Russ?
Dean, at this point, any idea how long this operation is going to last?
We think it's going to last another 3 weeks at least, because get this, the river is not even going to crest in Baton Rouge for another week, and they expect the crest to last 10 to 14 more days. So we're looking at an extended period of anxiety. Russ?
Dean Reynolds in Morganza, Louisiana. Thank you very much. Elsewhere on the Mississippi, as many as 25 barges broke loose near Baton Rouge today. 2 of them hit a bridge before they could be secured. Another danger looming tonight is the possible shutdown of the Mississippi River as a waterway for shipping. Maya Rodriguez of our New Orleans affiliate, WWL, takes a look at the staggering cost of closing down the Big Muddy.
The Mississippi River is a vital lifeline of America's economy. But if it rises above 18.5 feet, 2 feet higher than it is now, the Coast Guard may have to shut down shipping traffic on the river. With 12,000 ships carrying 500 million tons of cargo annually and 700,000 cruise passengers, New Orleans is one of the busiest ports. Closing the Mississippi would be costly.
Every day that this river is closed, the detrimental economic consequence, not to New Orleans, but to the entire United States, is $295 million a day, and it grows exponentially after the 4th day.
The Mississippi was last closed in 2008 when a fuel barge and a tanker collided, spilling more than 400,000 gallons of fuel into the water. That cost the city of New Orleans an estimated $2 billion. New Orleans imports everything from rubber to computers, and the oil industry is still reeling from last year's Gulf oil spill. Upriver in Baton Rouge, ExxonMobil closed its dock operations today.
It just causes economic damage, if you will. The plants would have to shut down. They won't be able to receive product or send product out, and so things just come to a standstill.
For now, the Coast Guard is monitoring the river levels closely in this makeshift command center.
We're trying to do everything we can to keep all waterways open, but we also understand that at certain points we've got to look at the safety of the mariners and safety of the flood control structures.
Parts of the Cumberland and Ohio rivers that flow into the Mississippi have already been closed to boat traffic. Russ?
Maya Rodriguez of our New Orleans station WWL in Morganza, Louisiana. Thank you so much. Here's what else is happening tonight. 3 Pakistani Americans, a Miami imam and his 2 sons, were arrested today in Miami and Los Angeles, charged with providing financial support to the Pakistani Taliban. Also named in the indictment were 3 other people in Pakistan, including the imam's daughter and grandson. Elaine Quijano has more.
At 2 Miami area mosques, 2 of the men arrested served as imams or Muslim spiritual leaders. 76-year-old Hafiz Khan and one of his sons, 24-year-old Izar. Another son was one of the 4 others indicted. Prosecutors say they provided money and aid to the Pakistani Taliban, considered by the U.S. to be a terrorist group with links to al-Qaeda and the Taliban in Afghanistan.
We cannot and will not let America be used as a funding source for terrorists.
The Pakistani Taliban claimed responsibility for suicide attacks that killed at least 80 people in Pakistan this week. The U.S. also believes last year's failed plot to bomb Times Square was planned and funded by the group.
This sends a very specific message to the Pakistani Taliban. We will go after you in Pakistan, as the U.S. government has shown, and we will also go after your support networks around the world, including in the United States.
Authorities say between 2008 and 2010, the defendants transferred at least $50,000 to Pakistan, some of it to buy guns. In a 2010 recorded phone conversation, officials say one of the men, Hafiz Khan, upon hearing that Mujahideen in Afghanistan had killed 7 American soldiers, declared his wish that God bring death to 50,000 more. Justice officials stressed Islam was not their target.
This is an indictment against 6 individuals, not against a religion and not against a particular community, because extremists come from all places.
And as we mentioned, 5 of the 6 indicted are family members. 3 people are believed to be somewhere in Pakistan. The 3 men arrested in the United States are due to appear in court on Monday. Russ?
Elaine Quijano, thank you very much. There is news from the Obama administration tonight on the nation's oil supply. In the wake of sky-high gas prices, the president says he wants to boost U.S. production of oil. Whit Johnson has more on the new plan and reaction from Washington and beyond.
With Americans reeling over gas prices near $4 per gallon, President Obama has begun to tweak his energy policy.
I believe that we should continue to expand oil production in America, even as we increase safety and environmental standards.
Accused of not doing enough to curb skyrocketing oil prices, today the president announced a series of initiatives. They include extending drilling leases in Alaska and the Gulf of Mexico, frozen after the BP oil spill, beginning annual lease sales in the National Petroleum Reserve, 23 million acres on the north slope of Alaska, and providing incentives for oil companies to speed up development of sites already leased.
There are a few steps we should take that make good sense.
The top oil industry group agrees. But in a statement, the American Petroleum Institute said, We hope that these proposals are only the first in a series towards a more robust national energy plan.
And the bill is passed.
House Republicans passed 2 bills this week that not only ramp up offshore drilling, but would force the Obama administration to act quickly on approving new sites.
When we're talking about energy, we're talking about jobs. The cost of energy is directly related to the cost of hiring workers and running a business.
But neither measure is likely to pass the Democratic Senate, where anger at rising gas prices boiled over at a hearing this week. 5 bosses from the largest private oil companies defended their $2.1 billion in tax credits.
I don't think the American people want shared sacrifice. I think they want shared prosperity. And what we have to offer,
lovely statement, but do you understand how out of touch that is?
And for frustrated Americans, analysts agree there is little Washington can do to provide immediate relief.
You talk to any petroleum engineer, any economist that's looked at this, increasing domestic drilling is not going to reduce gas prices or reduce our levels of imports.
Senate Democrats will vote to remove some of those oil subsidies next week. President Obama encourages that vote, but Republicans are sure to block it, highlighting the divide over America's energy future. Russ.
Whit Johnson at the White House. Thanks, Whit. Coming up on tonight's CBS Evening News, Campaign 2012. Will the GOP field grow? We'll take a look at some of the candidates' chances. As Campaign 2012 begins to heat up, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee is set to declare his presidential intentions on his cable TV show tonight. The Republican field is already crowded with at least 8 major declared or potential presidential candidates, including Mitt Romney, Mitch Daniels, Tim Pawlenty, Ron Paul, Newt Gingrich, John Huntsman, Rick Santorum, and Michelle Bachmann. And for more perspective on the still developing Republican field, let's go to Washington. Our political analyst, John Dickerson. John, good evening to you.
Good evening, Russ.
Let's begin with Mitt Romney, considered the frontrunner by many people. Caught some flack this week for his championing of that health care law in Massachusetts when he was governor. In your mind, is that something he can overcome?
Well, he tried this week to deal with the liability by giving a speech arguing that what he passed as governor of Massachusetts is not like what President Obama put forward. A lot of critics in his own party didn't buy it, and the Romney folks didn't think they would buy it. The way they see this is sort of like getting a flat tire. You put on a spare, it doesn't look as good, the car can't go as fast, but it allows the car to move forward. In that case with Romney, he hopes to put this to the side so he can go forward with his major critique, which is with a weak economy, voters are going to look for a candidate with his kind of business experience.
Let's move on to Newt Gingrich. He declared this week, familiar name in Republican circles, a familiar name in this country. How's he doing so far?
Well, he is very, very well known, and that's an asset and a liability. For some, he is the longtime fighter for conservative causes with a lot of big ideas. But for others, he has multiple marriages, he's admitted adultery, and his end in Congress was contentious. That's why, as well known as he is, he's not doing that well in the polls. But with a weak field, he knows how to build a political organization and the drive that's required, and those are assets.
Indiana Governor Mitch Daniels getting a lot of buzz right now. Not a household name. Why are so many Republicans excited about him?
Well, the Republicans, there are a lot of Republicans who think the field so far just isn't that exciting, and they're looking for someone somewhere to come out of the blue to be the mystery, wonderful candidate. Daniels' particular appeal is among establishment Republicans, some Bush Republicans. That will help him, but he's still not very well known. Social conservatives are suspicious of him, and he's probably going to have to put away some of that candor, which is refreshing, but in a primary fight where you want to make everybody love you, you can't be too candid.
John Dickerson in Washington. Something tells me we'll be talking about this again. Thank you so much. See you next time.
Thanks, Russ.
And just ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, 50 years after a terrifying attack, civil rights activists tell the story of their narrow escape. Today marks the 50th anniversary of a violent milestone in the struggle for civil rights, a near-fatal assault that put Anniston, Alabama on the map. And that's tonight's Weekend Journal, the legacy of a mob attack on a group of college students known as the Freedom Riders.
I will never forget Anniston.
Anniston, Alabama, the place where Hank Thomas nearly died. In 1961, Thomas was a 19-year-old freedom rider. one of 7 blacks and 6 whites who boarded buses bound for the South to protest segregated interstate travel.
Were you frightened?
I'm 19 years old. You don't know enough to be afraid.
But that changed on May 14th. When the riders arrived in Anniston, they were met by a brutal mob which shattered windows, punctured the tires of the bus, and set it on fire.
They held the door, and I remember them saying, let's burn them alive.
Trapped, Thomas says he sought the easiest way to die.
I thought that if I breathed in the smoke, then I would simply go to sleep, and that's the way I was going to die.
But he got lucky. A fuel tank explosion scattered the crowd, allowing the riders to escape the flames.
It was like a scene from hell. It was the worst suffering I'd ever heard.
A new PBS documentary details that horrific day and the one glimmer of hope, a young white girl who waded through the angry crowd with water for the suffocating riders.
And as soon as I thought she was going to be okay, I got up and picked up somebody else.
Her name was Janie. I will never forget her.
But for 50 years, Anniston ignored that infamous day.
Bring back memories, though.
Herbert Palmore was 14 the day the bus burned. Now a city councilman, he believes it's time for the city to come to terms with its past.
We still have resentment in Anniston. So that's something we have to put it to rest.
A group called the Spirit of Anniston is trying to start the discussion. They've created Freedom Ride murals and organized a photo exhibit. Muralist Joseph Geary hopes the effort helps Anniston heal.
Anniston has this bad reputation, and I think doing this was part of moving beyond it.
So this is a wonderful thing.
Hank Thomas returned to Anniston this week with a group of college students reenacting the rides and found a different greeting.
I'm so sorry.
A special moment, Thomas says, not just for Anniston's progress, but for the nation as well.
What do you think about this country in 2011?
Mine is the American story, the good, the bad, but I wouldn't take nothing for the journey. America is a great country now.
During the return trip to Anniston, Hank Thomas met the son of one of the Klansmen who burned the bus. The son apologized and invited him to dinner. Still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, new technology helps a paralyzed college senior fulfill a graduation dream. Finally this evening, it is the goal of every college senior to walk across the stage at commencement and receive their degree. But today, for one senior, that walk really was a dream come true. John Blackstone has the story.
Paralyzed from the waist down, Austin Whitney has spent his college years in a wheelchair. When he graduated from high school 4 years ago, he could walk, but weeks later, drinking and driving, he crashed into a tree.
Every day I'm so grateful to be alive, so grateful that I was the only person permanently disabled because of the accident.
His life had been changed, but it changed again last fall at the University of California, Berkeley, when he met engineering professor Humayun Kazaruni.
I realized he's the man I've been waiting for a long time. He's so inspiring, and he has changed the way I do my work.
For 20 years, Kazaruni has been developing exoskeletons, robotic suits with the potential to help the disabled walk.
I'll never forget this. He told me, Austin, I have this dream for you. I want to see you walk. And this is something that anyone in a wheelchair would do anything to be able to do.
In Kazaruni's lab, Austin, a history major, joined the engineering students developing a lightweight, low-cost exoskeleton.
We had the end user here in the lab, in front of us. He's sitting on a wheelchair waiting. I mean, that was inspiring for us. That was actually a motivating force to get to work every day.
Strapped into the motorized, computerized legs of the prototype, Austin became a test pilot. The first time he was able to stand was on his 22nd birthday last November.
Here I am standing. Here I am 6 feet tall again. It changed everything about my life.
Austin could stand, but the goal was to walk. And the team decided Austin would be doing that by graduation day.
If someone would have told me I would be walking at that graduation, I would say that was impossible.
They were still working on that goal late yesterday, making sure the exoskeleton would work beneath a scholar's gown. And today, in the long line of graduates making their way across the stage, it was finally his turn. His chance to show there is a reason to hope for anyone told they'll never walk again.
Austin Whitney.
On what is a momentous day for every graduate, Austin Whitney took a particularly big step into the future. John Blackstone, CBS News, Berkeley, California.
Great story. And that is the CBS Evening News. Tomorrow morning on Face the Nation, an interview with House Speaker, John Boehner. Thanks for joining us this Saturday evening. I'm Russ Mitchell, CBS News in New York. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Good night.
On television, online, on the go, and now free on iPad. CBS News.